Good morning, everybody. Before I say anything to the students, I want to thank all the adults who helped get them here today. In case you don't know, now you do though, I'm an Einstein grad, class of '67. Maybe what you don't know is my daughter and two of my granddaughters went through the amazing art program at Einstein, and I was just there for one of my granddaughter's exhibits a couple of weeks ago in the evening, and it was really nice. A diploma may have one student's name on it, but nobody gets here alone. So parents, family members, teachers, and school staff spent years encouraging these graduates, worrying about them, teaching them, and believing in them. This moment belongs to all of you, so thank all of you. And now to the Albert Einstein class of 2026 graduates. A few nights ago, my granddaughter came over to my house because she wanted to play my 12-string guitar. She had never played one. And honestly, I was probably happier that night than I'd been in a long time. We sat there for almost 2 hours playing guitars, talking about music, and it reminded me that music does something important. Music connects generations. Music helps people make sense of the world. And as I was thinking about what to say this morning, I realized some of the best advice I could actually give you comes from 3 songs from artists I've listened to most of my life. The first is from the Rolling Stones, and the song is, "You Can't Always Get What You Want." Not exactly the inspirational message your school probably hoped I would begin with, but it happens to be true. When I was in middle school, I dreamed of being a professional baseball player or middle linebacker, but my parents wouldn't sign the stupid health release to let me play, and they wouldn't give me a permission to play when I went to college. So it didn't work out like I planned, but things are brewing in society that did capture me. My generation came of age in a turbulent time when the vision of the old world was being challenged by us, and I became engaged in civil rights. I marched in Dr. King's March on Washington when I was 12. And I went to my first of many anti-Vietnam War protests in 1962. I attended the first Earth Day events and the early women's movement protests. You're all living in a time not unlike mine, where civil rights, women's rights, climate awareness, and the push to war are all in play now. And you're going to help determine which way the arc of our society bends. Eventually, after working retail, I became an elementary school teacher. Let's hear it for Rolling Terrace Elementary School, 17 years there. I ran for office. I got elected to the Tacoma Park City Council, then the Montgomery County Council, and I ended up being Montgomery County's executive. I never thought about being a teacher or elected political official when I was a kid. That was not in my game plan. And when I graduated at Einstein, I never thought I would oversee one of the largest police departments in the county, especially because when I was younger, and in the 60s, if you had long hair, not always a good thing, I spent a lot of time trying to avoid Montgomery County Police. And so I know all the back roads to the county because that's where I drove. I knew they'd always be on the main road, so I could wind my way through neighborhoods. So go figure. So if you don't completely know what your life is going to be like yet, relax. Most people don't. Life is almost never a straight line. You're going to change your mind. You're going to fail at things. You're going to lose opportunities and discover new ones you never expected. I lost 4 elections before I won my first election to the county council. Losing happens, so does winning. Sometimes the disappointments in your life end up pushing you towards something more meaningful than what you originally planned. And that's exactly what the chorus of this song says. It says, "You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, well, you just might find that you get what you need." The second song I want to mention is Bruce Springsteen's "No Surrender." I was at the concert last week. Some of you may not know Bruce Springsteen. It's hard to believe, but it's true. That's okay. Your grandparents know Bruce Springsteen. And when Bruce and I were growing up in the world that I mentioned earlier, it was not a world that made us comfortable. The Vietnam War was escalating. There was fear about nuclear war. Politics was angry and divisive, and civil rights leaders were being assassinated. And I graduated from Einstein in 1967. More than 1,000 young Americans were dying every month in Vietnam for a pointless war, most of them not much older than many of you sitting here today. In the 8 years from the time I left high school until the end of the war, I protested the war at every chance I got. Some thought we were causing trouble. To be fair, we were causing trouble, but good trouble, as civil rights leader John Lewis would call it. Sometimes trouble is necessary because progress only happens when ordinary people are willing to speak up, challenge assumptions, and make other people uncomfortable. You don't have the right to be uncomfortable doing wrong things. In fact, I was an organizer of the first ever building takeover at the University of Maryland as part of a protest against the firing of 2 philosophy professors, and it quickly morphed into an anti-war demonstration. I got into so much trouble protesting at Maryland that I actually got banned from campus for 2 weeks. I was told I could come on for my classes. I had to be off campus 15 minutes after my classes were over. If you know me, banning me from doing things is probably not going to work, and it didn't. But here's why I'm telling you this. There are going to be moments in your life when it was easier to be quiet. There'll be pressure to fit in, pressure to avoid conflict, pressure to go along with things you know are wrong. Do not surrender your principles. Stay engaged with the world around you. Care about your community. Pay attention to who gets left behind, and remember the chorus to the song, No Surrender. And here are my favorite parts of that song. It says, well, we made a promise we swore we'd always remember. No retreat, baby, no surrender. Like soldiers in the winter night with a vow to defend. No retreat, baby, no surrender. That has stuck with me a long time. And that brings me to the last song, Woody Guthrie's This Land Is Your Land, written during the Great Depression. What I've always liked about that song is that it reminds us that this country belongs to all of us. Not just some people, all of us. No matter where your family came from, no matter what language your grandparents spoke, no matter your race, religion, or background, you belong here. And Montgomery County takes that seriously. When I attended Einstein, Montgomery County was a very different place than it is today. When I moved to the county in 1961, we were largely segregated. If you were in a black or Jewish family, you probably couldn't find an apartment to rent or a house to buy in Montgomery County because there are covenants banning the sale or rental of property to blacks and Jews in this county. That's 1961. They don't go away till 1967. There were places where people simply weren't welcome. Some people romanticize the past, but parts of the past deserve to stay in the past. Today, Montgomery County is one of the most diverse counties anywhere in America. And we're stronger because people finally got a seat at the table. Now your generation inherits both the opportunities and problems of this county, this country, this state, this nation, and this planet. And I know the world you're entering can feel overwhelming at times. It felt that way to me. Housing's expensive. That wasn't true when I was a kid. Politics is exhausting. Still true. Climate change is happening. Artificial intelligence is changing jobs and education in real time, and it has the ability to distort the world. Be careful with what you touch. Billionaires have way too much control in this society, and people spend too much time yelling at each other. But every generation eventually comes to think the world is falling apart. My generation thought that too. Where you are today, I was here nearly 60 years ago. But every generation also has the ability to shape what comes next. That part never changes. Over the years, many people told me that things I believed were unrealistic or politically impossible. I should never have gotten elected. Some of those same ideas are now widely discussed across the country. History changes, usually slower than we want, sometimes faster than we expect. If there's one thing I want to leave you with this morning, it's this. Do not spend your life trying to be important. Spend your life trying to become useful. Spend your life useful to your family, useful to your friend, useful to your community, useful to the people who need help. And then, I'll give you one last quote from Hamlet, which I learned in my English class in high school. And the quote goes like this: "This above all, to thine own self be true." I learned that quote in 12th grade English, and it has always been with me. There is nothing more important than being authentically who you are and doing what you honestly believe. Most of the people who hold communities together never appear on television or have a lot of social media followers. They teach kids, they help neighbors, they coach teams, they care for families, and they show up when people need them. They choose the work that matters. That's why I became an elementary school teacher in one of the most impacted schools in the county. I never dreamed of that, but it happened. And here's the last stanza of "This Land Is Your Line," the Woody Guthrie song that I mentioned. It goes like this: "Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can ever make me turn back. This land was made for you and me." Remember that. So one day, many years from now, you may find yourself sitting with your grandchildren, listening to music together, maybe playing, looking back on a life that probably turned out very differently than what you expected, but maybe better in ways you never could have imagined. That's your future. Congratulations, class of 2026, and thank you.